Let's kick off. So firstly, guys, if anyone doesn't know Sofia, Sophia's awesome. So me and Sophia started working together about 14 months ago. And at the time, Sophia was in the incubator. And I remember I had a one-to-one call with her in like November of 2024. Fucking hell, that seems like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And absolutely smashed it since then. So I think Sophia was in around 20K, 30K a month, helping women build a coaching business. And just since then, she's absolutely smashed it. Now, I think what's really applicable to this is one, Sophia has a coaching business, and with the past two speakers, Andrew included, were service. Two, Sophia runs cold traffic. So it's cold. So that's way harder, like way, way harder, especially in the coaching world, because there's all like, who's the key identity and all this kind of person. So that's a huge lever as well. Sophia's also had a tiny team, right? There was a setter, VA, an ads manager, and that was basically it. And she was doing all the coaching and all the closing. So now, 6 figures a month, 140K a month, like it seems like our business is much bigger, but it's still the same core essence. I think that's very unique with this as well. So there'll be like a ton of stuff we can help you. We're going to learn, and also we'll be able to kind of bounce ideas off. Cool.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Sounds good. So Sophia, let's kick off. Let's go top to bottom. So do you want to give us a run through of the offers that you have, the programs that you have, and really just kind of like how you were developing these as well over the past year?
Yep. So I'm a big fan of simplicity. So I try and keep it as simple as I can. So I've got two offers. I've got a program called Scale School Foundations, which is a 3-month program designed to take coaches from 0 to 5K per month in that period. And then I have another offer called Scale School, the Mastermind. And the reason why they've got a similar name is they're just under the same umbrella of it's the same curriculum, it's the same community. There's a lot of overlap. The difference is the Mastermind is 12 months and they get more calls, they get more support, a little bit of one-on-one stuff involved in that as well. And the pricing structure has incentivized people to want to come into the 12-month one as well. So we really just use the 3-month one as a downsell for people that can't commit to or afford the 12-month program. It's a bit of a tester. I often have people jump in that, then realize it's amazing and upgrade, for example. So it's kind of structured in that way. And the 12-month one the goal is for coaches to get to 30K per month, and beyond from there. So yeah, that's the offers.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's basically like the ecosystem, right? So you've a self-starter offer, or sorry, not self-starter, but early stage people. And this is interesting, right? Because you're targeting people who generally are not as financially qualified in general at first because they're new. And then you have like the bigger program then. Can you walk through like the pricing and the positioning too? Because I think those small, like subtle nuances are very applicable to people like Joe, Mary, absolutely everyone on this call.
Mm-hmm. So the 3-month one is $2,000 US for the 3 months. And then the 12-month one is $7,000 US for the 12 months. And I structured it so with the payment plan options, it is actually cheaper on average to be in the 12-month one, and they get more. So I've made sure to incentivize it in every way to commit to that in most circumstances. It's really just a downsell, that 3-month one. And yeah, we try and target established people, but I think naturally you're going to attract, in the coaching space, you're also going to attract newbies. Mm-hmm. And instead of turning away every single person that isn't, established, I've just got an offer for them to get started, to then become established, to come into that 12-month program.
Yeah, that's awesome. How do you get results for people? Like, what's your unique mechanism? What's the process you bring people through? And feel free to share a screen as well if you want to, if it's easier and stuff,
Yeah, sure. So I created my own method called the Scalable System, and it's broken into 3 core pillars. And I do recommend, if anyone here is like a coach from the service-based industry, like I've loved having a signature method. It's just your unique process that you put a label on it, and it's broken into a few pillars or whatever, so that you do stand out from all of your competition. So, if I don't know what everyone niches is here, but, if you've got other people in the same industry, it can be hard to separate yourself, but that's where you want to have that unique process. So I've called mine the Scalable System, and it's broken into 3 pillars. So I've got sustainable strategy, and I teach, how to attract your audience, nurture your audience, convert your audience within that. And I like to teach a variety of ways. I don't just teach paid or just teach organic. Like, I like to teach all, and I use that as a leverage piece of, hey, I'm not one of those coaches that's going to force you to do one approach you might not align with. Like I teach, I guess, similar to Darren. Darren teaches a lot of different things, and I like to leverage that because there are a lot of coaches out there that only do this or only do that, and that's not always helpful. And then simple systems is the second pillar, which is all about, organization, hiring, delegating, automating, SOPs, all of that sort of stuff to buy back your time. And then seamless sales is the third pillar, which is all about, how to sell in an aligned way. Keeping in mind, I do attract mostly female coaches. I do have men as well, but mostly it's female. So kind of using that languaging of like simple systems, seamless sales, sustainable strategy. They seem to like those words because, they can easily get overwhelmed, caught up in, all of the things. So that's my process.
Yeah, I love that. And also, guys, feel free to put up your hand too if there's any specific questions. So, like, the big
Sure.
TLDR here is like, it has to be manageable and bite sized for people. And I think
Yeah.
it's the same even for the big guys. If we're helping people build a sales team, it's like you work with a setter first, you go through a process, and then you look to put in a closer. So, like, that simplicity is like super important, basically, of how you're getting the results for people.
Yep. Yep.
Is there anything on the pricing specifically that you've ever had like resistance with? Like how have, even like yourself, if you look at the business in 2024 versus now, what would you say has evolved the most, right? Because like you've made very big jumps in revenue. That's the thing, is that most people will kind of stair step, but you've actually made like, you went from like 30 to like 60, like 60 to like 80, and then you stayed above 100 now for like 4 or 5 months straight.
Yep.
That's very
Yep.
rare. For context, the swings in coaching, it's not that it's super common, but people can kind of put their foot off the gas. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is something I'm really proud of actually, is that my business has never really gone like this. It's really just sustainably like gone like this. Last year we did have a huge kind of jump, but it wasn't up and down, which is really cool. Plenty of challenges all throughout though, mind you. But yes, I guess the biggest thing that I found that you have helped me with is going from, I'm pretty sure when I met you, I would have been not charging any extra for the payment plans, whereas you very quickly helped me realize that, well, no one's going to pay in full if they're not incentivized to do so, which made a lot of sense. And so me changing my payment structure, which was uncomfortable because I really loved being inclusive, supportive, all of those sorts of things, but making it so the payment plan is a lot more expensive than the in full has meant that I've had more in fulls, which contributed to the revenue increase, right? Because now instead of me needing to stack 1 million people to build up my monthly recurring revenue, like I'm having these cash injections. So that was the big pricing change that I've made. And then just slowly increasing my pricing over time, which is always scary every time. But I know that if I compare myself to my competition, for lack of a better word, they are charging a lot more than me. So I remind myself of that like I'm priced at a very good rate, not undercharging, but also not overcharging either. So yeah.
I think the biggest thing is you're conscientious of it. Therefore, you're not going to do something that's like not like genuinely like aligned to what you want to do. You're very
Yeah.
like conscious of like what, like, can they afford it? Can they actually pay for it? Does it make sense? But then also, does it make sense for the business too, right? Because it can't be
Yeah.
too low, especially when we're running ads, which we'll kind of get into at some point as well. One thing I would say as well, just to add value to that is, the reason why we charge 20% on a two-way split and 30% on a three-way split is obviously to incentivize pay in full. But then if someone comes in on a split, you can ask them to clear the balance in the first month.
Yeah.
So we have like 60% of people who clear the balance, and it's generally nothing to do with finances. It's to do with trust.
Yes, I found that.
And they're trying to trust themselves too, right? Trust works both ways. It's like they have trust in themselves. So like these are just intelligent ways just to make sure that we're actually growing the business versus like, I think, you can do splits, but splits can hurt you eventually,
100%. And I've definitely experienced being hurt in the past where, I've been really generous with a payment plan and then they've stopped paying it. And that absolutely sucks. But that's the cost and risk associated with doing it that way. So I've gotten stricter over time, but it's been hard for me to do that because I do love to support people and trust people. But then, sometimes it can go wrong, of course. And the other thing I was going to say that you've helped me with when it comes to pricing is just, not having such an extended payment plan. Like I definitely don't have a payment plan over the duration of the program, but I'm learning to offer, pay, over 2 months instead of 12, for example. So
Yeah.
I'm slowly like moving in that direction as well, which has been helpful.
Yeah, the last thing on that is like if you want to, so again, payment plans are designed to help people that don't have cash availability. So they might have
Yeah.
cash, but it might be illiquid. Like I literally have a lot of illiquid cash because it could be in like investments or the company account. What that means is if you are going to give someone a split, you want to split it in such a way that they're still able to get to the money, just not immediately. So that's why I
Yep.
would suggest monthly. Month
Yep.
1, month 2, month 3. So by the end of 3 months, it's all said and done. And then there's a
Yep.
bit more psychology in terms of tugs if they've paid and so on. But you have to, as everyone here is a business owner, you have to look at ways to protect yourself too, in some ways, right? Because as you grow, we had an Apex call about this. It was like payment operations will become an issue for people.
Yep.
And this is just like,
Yep.
it may seem like so nuanced now, but payment ops is a problem in the coaching space because people
Yep.
will find any reason beyond it. Now, Mary, question for you, Mary, on your side.
Sophia, how do your numbers look in both those groups? What's you're running at? What's the numbers?
Yeah, so I've currently got 130 clients across the two programs. I don't know the exact percentages of who goes in what. It seems to change a lot. We're starting to get a lot more people in the 12-month one now. But, previously, again, when I hadn't separated the two programs enough, people weren't as incentivized to go into that one. They're like, oh, I'm going to start with 3 months and then I'll, but I've made them different enough now where that doesn't happen as much. So yeah, a good mixture.
So is it higher in the 12-month program than the 3 months?
Yeah, I would say so. Mostly because it is 12 months, right? So people aren't leaving as quickly. Whereas with the 3 months, that's turning around a lot, if that makes sense,
Yes. And what sort of percentage are you upselling to the 12-month program from the 3 month?
Yeah, that's a good question. Probably like 25% of them will will upgrade, and then I wouldn't know the exact percentage, but then we have people that re-sign for another 3 months if that's where they're at more so. But I actually had this happen to me just yesterday. Someone had joined the 3-month program, and then a week later, so yesterday, she reached out saying, hey, like, I'm loving this. Can I upgrade? And so I upgraded her within a week, to the 12-month. And she said, like, the only reason I joined the 3-month one was because I had such a bad experience in the last program I was in that I was really scared, but I can see that this is amazing and I just want to work closer with you, So that absolutely happens more regularly now, which I really love.
Oh, that's awesome. And when you put your prices up, I assume that when you joined the program with Darren and Tom, you upped your prices. What's the percentage of people, and you may not know this, that pay in full as opposed to payment plans?
Yeah, I should know all these numbers. These are the specific numbers I don't know.
We have to get to you.
Darren put me as a plant to ask them, so don't sweat about it.
You have to you need a dashboard for this, for 100%.
I know. Yeah, I don't know the exact figure on that. No, I'm not sure.
Just make it up, just for the hell of it,
But so Mary, you're learning a thing or two, right? Because the percentage of this is important, right? Yeah. So if your renewal rate is like 40%, like great. If your ascension rate is like 30%, great. But it's good to notice because we shouldn't always be looking for new customers, especially when you're running paid traffic.
Yeah.
Right? Paid traffic is expensive. Like we spend money on acquiring clients, and it's expensive.
Sure.
So
yeah, all right. I will make sure I start tracking those numbers.
And I've got one other question. Money on ads. Oh yeah, I've got one other question. Your clientele, let's call them, are they coming from paid ads or organic? And do you know the percentages? See, I'm right on to metrics because Darren's hammering the crap out of me about this. So,
yeah, I would say today, 90% are coming from ads and the rest are organic. So most come from ads at this point. Yeah.
That's really awesome.
And just to add to that, like so that when you get that down, and we'll come to your bank after this if you don't mind. When you get that down, that means that your offer is great, your traffic source is great, and your closing is great. because closing cold traffic is 100 times harder. We moved our sales team from organic to paid, and there was a question mark of should we turn off paid in general because it was so difficult.
Yeah.
Like it's very common that people can't crack paid.
Yeah. I know. I honestly think I went into that naively. Like I really had a belief that I was bad at sales, and I thought I was. And then funnily enough, when I did get the data on that, I realized I was closing on average. Obviously this varies month to month and so forth, but on average about 50% of them. And I realized that's really high for cold traffic. And now I've got this new level of confidence that I did not have previously since I realized that. Because you know, I guess when you don't know those numbers, you do make decisions based on emotions, which, you know, Darren's also helped me with. And, you know, also just something you learn in business. And I have my moments, but for the most part, I'm looking at data now when I make decisions, and that's been way more helpful.
Yeah, well, I've gone from paid ads, and then I got shut down by Facebook, and that's another story. And then to organic, and probably move back to paid. So that's why I'm asking. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your transparency.
No, yeah, I'm happy to answer anything.
Blanca, over to you.
Thank you. Amazing job, girls. That's crazy. But I just had a question. So you have on average 130. Do you manage them all yourself, or do you have people manage them with you? Like, how does that work?
For the most part, I've done it all myself. I only just hired a support coach end of November last year. So, and I could easily manage them all myself, to be honest. The reason being is it's a group program primarily, but it has been such a game changer to have a support coach to now we can add in those extra touch points that I wasn't doing, which has made our program more valuable. So she'll check in with every client, she'll message them all once a week, you know, every Monday, and be back and forth with them where needed and point them in the right direction. I didn't offer that at all prior though. Like if anyone ever messaged me, I might post in the group, you know, I was really strict and had a lot of boundaries. Whereas now, like I'm able to provide that without me doing it. So I was managing that many myself. It felt a lot at times, but the way I've structured my program and the boundaries within it allowed me to do so. But now my program is way more supportive, and I believe it's helping with retention and upgrading clients and things like that. It's so much that it's worth everything. So yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So
what platform? Sorry, I'm just
go ahead. No, you're fine. Go ahead, Blanca. Go ahead.
What platforms?
School community? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And did you have a lot of what you did set up prior to going to market, or, you know, being with Boix, like that helped you integrate a lot more systems into the process?
I had majority of that all set up. Like I found Darren at the end of 2024. So I'd been in business already for 4 or 5 years, something like 5 years maybe. And so, yeah, definitely had all of that set up. Like the main, you know, I was doing, it would range between those 30 and 50K months. It's really funny because I used to tell myself I was stuck at 50K a month. But then when I actually go back and look, I had months that were much higher, but the problem was I wasn't looking at my numbers. And so again, I was just like literally lying to myself. Like I was telling myself I was stuck at 30 and I wasn't even stuck at 30 sometimes. And that was also, you know, that's a problem. Like you got to look at your numbers and money and stuff. And so I was literally just telling myself something that wasn't even true upon reflection, you know? So yeah, Darren's helped me a lot with, well, so many things, obviously. But yeah, being 4 years in business and already at those 30 to 50K months, I obviously had plenty of systems and automations in place. I wouldn't have gotten there.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
Then also, just even to add to the numbers, right? So if you don't have a hold of stuff, obviously Stripe is where you might start. You just start with that, make sure you're doing it, look at it month over month, right? Then you're looking at then maybe some of your sales data, so some of your close rate, your show rate, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm very like obsessed with that things. But then even I had a conversation with my finance manager a minute ago, and we said we're going to put all payroll on individual tabs every month, you know, in a spreadsheet. The reason being is because I can just quickly look month over month to see where our biggest expenses are in payroll. So it's just like over time you'll develop more things. We have a huge list of payroll of people. But I'm saying you kind of start with something scrappy, and then you look at something refined, and you look at something more automated as time goes on. And now, obviously, as a result, that becomes a little bit easier. So there's two sides to this. What I want to add is, don't say to yourself, "Oh, I need to be bigger before I do tracking." You get bigger by tracking. This is the irony, right?
Yeah. And so like I had things set up, but things are always evolving. I'm evolving things right now. Like they're in every person's business. We all have a bottleneck right now. Like Darren has one, I have one, you all have one. Like, and some people's bottlenecks are just way bigger than others, right? And so I realized that it was a real problem not tracking data properly, because like I said, when I did realize, oh my God, here I am saying I'm stuck at 30K months, and yet I'm sitting at 40K for the month. Like that's an issue. It's like, you know, and me being unaware and not tracking things was why I was stuck there. And the moment I realized, first of all, I'm more ahead than I realized I was. And then, you know, the other piece to this was I had a major belief that scaling beyond that would just be exhausting, too much burnout. I was very comfortable at those, you know, 30 to 50K months is a fun place to be. It's very comfortable, and a lot of people get stuck there because, well, it depends how people have it structured, but the way I had it structured, my calendar was quite clear, clients were happy, wasn't a huge amount of issues. So subconsciously, why the heck would I want to change anything? Because I was telling myself this story that to make more than that this is where all the problems would come in. And that wasn't true. And the moment I realized, oh, is that actually true, Sofia? Is it true that if I was to double my income, that I would double the amount of problems? And that's not true. I know plenty of 8-figure business owners that are pretty happy. And so I realized, well, maybe this is, you know, of course there's more work and different problems required, but it doesn't have to double your issues or anything like that when done properly. And so when I realized I had that belief, moved that, the next month had a 60K month, the month after that had my first 83K month after that had my first 100K month. So it's amazing how your beliefs play a huge role in this, along with the systems, of course, and strategy. But yeah, that was a big one for me, is like the stories I was telling myself.
Love it. Love it. Can we walk through maybe some of your events, or your paid events, into the webinars, which I think, you know, you've really nailed that, and it's been something you've done so consistently for a couple of years now. So maybe walking through the traffic to the offer, basically.
Yeah, so I have always run events in my business, literally since day one. It was the first thing I did that signed me a client, is I ran a 5-day free challenge in my Facebook group at the time. So I've always done it. I just didn't do them as consistently in the beginning. But then when I realized, oh, every time I do one of these things, I sign a client, I started doing it more. But I was doing a different event every single time, you know. So I was like changing the title, changing the style of the event, making new script, you know, just changing everything. Eventually I started doing an event once a month, and it was hard to know what part was working, what was not. Like my events would do well, but it was, you know, I was in the unknown every event of like, will this one do well? And then it was only last year, maybe the middle of the year, or roughly, where I was like, why don't I just run the same event every time? Like, why am I doing a different one every single month? So I started running ads to this one event, and then we would just tweak things based on the data. Like the data would tell us, where is the issue? Is it that not enough people are showing up? Is it that they're not staying till the end? Is it that they are staying till the end but not buying? And what that did was I was able to keep making tweaks, and now we have run the same event 12 times. I'm about to do it for the 13th time next week. And now we've really cracked something, because I've literally tested it 13 times. You know, that's probably, well, that would be more than $100,000 worth of ad spend, you know, that's gone into testing that as well. And that's allowing me to nail something. So now, you know, it's not perfect, and, you know, there's a lot of variables, but you know, it's way better than me reinventing the wheel every single month. And so now I actually know what parts works and what doesn't, so that even if I did want to run a different event, which I will do to leverage this existing audience that doesn't want to just keep going to the same event of mine, you know, I will know what the flow needs to be, how it needs to be structured. So even if it is a different title and all of those things, I'm not changing absolutely everything. So that's been a huge game changer. So we run ads to that event, they register, and then they come to the event and then they book a call and then they buy. That is like my funnel high level overview, but I'm happy to go deeper wherever.
And for context, at those events, so when you're running the same event repeated, the cold traffic is the hardest type of event to do. That's the hardest. Yeah, because there's no retargeting. Because the people that have signed, you're not retargeting, so because it's pure cold. No one has ever seen you. Whereas now, when you go into running a new unique thing, like how to get clients or how to create whatever, you can hit a retargeting of people, and they're like, "Oh, I went to this one back in September. Let me come now before I buy." And like that's literally what happens to us. People are like, "Oh, I met Darren in Marbella, and then I saw his ad, and I'll come," because they're just being retargeted. So again, I can't stress enough how you've gone into the deep end of the deep end.
I don't think I realized I was doing that, but we are about to start retargeting. Thank the Lord. So yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe that you're not doing it. You should just pretty much turn them on straight away. Even for those events, anyone who hit your landing page 90 days or 180 days would be very good to pick back up. And for context, that's how our follower ads are working really well right now, because I personally went back and changed the filtering to 180 days. So yeah, just for a bit of context, because it's anyone that's coming into the website or whatever. So any questions, guys, on the events? Now, events is really coming back, like online events. We're running 4 this month, right? So like, and Mia, I know you run events as well, so I'd love to get your thoughts, Mia, as well on this. If you want to come off mute. Mia, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can indeed. Go ahead.
Yeah. With these events, do you charge them? Like, is there a price, or is this a free event where they come and then you basically try to just get them there and then hear your offer?
Yeah, it's a free event. I'm not charging for it. So yeah.
And is it a full day event, or is it just a couple of hours event type of thing? Just curious on how you conduct this. Thanks.
On how I conduct the event itself?
Yeah.
So I run it on Zoom, and I'm currently doing an event once every 2 weeks. We were doing it once a month, and now we wanted to test faster. It was working, so it's like, let's keep the momentum going. So I've been running the same event every 2 weeks at the moment, and I use Canva slides and just share my screen on Zoom.
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. What else can I say about that? Yeah, so we've been doing that, but now it's getting to the point where I'm like, cool, I've got this big email list of people that aren't just going to keep coming to that same event, because I'm not marketing it via my email list either, because that would be super repetitive to be like, hey, come to this event. Hey, come to the same event again. So I haven't been doing that, but now I would like to leverage that. And so I'm going to start basically doing the same event still, once a month then, and then, also within that month, do a different event, but using that same framework that I've been using. So, yeah.
That makes me so excited. I think we should have a call on this. You should run an event this month. Just spend like 25K on it, all retargeting, all your existing list, organic as well. Get 2,000, 3,000 signups, book 100 calls. Like, because it's right there in front of you, like we're running an event on the 17th. We're going to spend around 30K on the front end. We should book anywhere between 100 and 150 calls. Like we should, right? Like the cost per call should be $200, right? So what I'm trying to say is you have all of it. So does everyone, right? Everyone has things under the sofa that they're not utilizing. People are just not utilizing a lot of things. It's like sometimes you got to slow down, look at what we have. And it's like, okay, let's leverage this and so on, because it took you, 5 years to get to this point, and now we should really start milking it, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think also I was intentional to be like, cool, I could be retargeting, I could be doing this, I could be doing that, but I really wanted to take the time to focus and actually nail this event instead of chopping and changing every month. Like, you can't do everything all at once, but now it's like I could say that event off by heart now. It's getting to the point where it's like, oh my God, here we go again. And I have to have all this energy as if no one's ever heard it. And I do love it. But oh my God, when you've said the same thing 13 times, it gets a lot. And so, I'm at the point now where that's not taking any capacity now. I'm ready to go every time, I just wait till I have to run the event. And so now I have capacity to focus on retargeting, optimizing other things and whatever. But we just really wanted to nail one thing at a time. And I think that I spent many years in the start of my business, changing so much shit all the time, like changing my branding, changing my niche, changing my offer, changing my strategy, changing the coach I was with. Like I kept just jumping around because I would honestly fall for people's marketing of like, this is the secret to success. This is this is that. And so anytime I was just slightly uncomfortable, and I'm only taking the time to share this because like I really wish someone told me this, like, you know, I just wish someone had told me that like, it's going to feel uncomfortable at times, but you just got to like keep leaning in. Like the moment something's uncomfortable doesn't always mean jump ship, abort mission, change your entire business model and approach. It's like, you know, there's been some problems and there's still problems sometimes with the event. Like, and sometimes they're good problems. Like right now, we're getting too many people book a call that I haven't been able to keep up with it. Great problem to have, but still a problem. And so I've hired a sales closer and now I've got that, you know, to deal with of like training a sales closer. So just because something's hard or uncomfortable doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just usually like growing pains, and that's a positive thing. So now I don't change so much shit all the time. I just kind of stay in my own lane and do my thing. And now I can start to expand a little bit, but it's not coming from reactivity. It's coming from that's the steps to master what I'm doing kind of thing.
Love it. Yeah. You have a lot of maturity with this as well. Like you've gone through the wave of like emotions and logic, you know. Mary, did you have another question to add? I know you put your hand back up.
Yeah, I did. Thanks. And firstly, I just want to say I would be very excited to hear your metrics after your reoffer. It's going to go through the friggin' roof. And that's just an aside. And sorry, I've had my hand up for a while. I just wondered how many one-on-ones you do for your 12 months.
None. I don't do any. So my support coach does one onboarding call, like one-on-one onboarding call, and then the rest is all group. I do have 2 tiers. I probably should have mentioned that. I do have 2 tiers to this 12-month program. So tier 1, yeah, you get no one-on-one from me whatsoever. And then tier 2, it does have 6 one-on-ones with me over the 12-month period, but I'm not going to lie, people forget to use them because they also get one-on-one message support with me in Slack. And I only have a small amount of people there. I have 20. They're super easy. When people are like higher level, you know, they're not as demanding. You know, I am trying to get them to reply to me. It's not the other way around. You know, they're just doing their thing. And so it's not hard work. They're awesome. And so I do technically do 6 one-on-ones with them, but some of them just don't even use them. You know,
do they pay more? Do they pay more for that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's 11,000 US. So tier 1 is 7,000 and for them it's 11,000.
Awesome.
And yeah, the only difference is literally they get those 6 one-on-ones and they get one-on-one message support with me. And the cool thing is, you know, my offer at its core is very scalable. There's not really a limit, I would say, necessarily on how many people can be in it. Tier 2, of course there is, but I'm in full control of, you know, when I'm like, there's no more spaces. But because none of them are demanding in any way, like I have capacity. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, to do 12, 13 consecutive events, I've done that with not the level of success that you're having, and I really appreciate it. You've done absolutely awesome. So well done to you.
Thank you. Well, I think it's important to share that, of course, I'd probably done 50 events prior to that of just all different types, you know, so it's not like I've only done 12. It's just only 12 of this one after 4 years of trialing different shit. So, yeah, definitely. It depends on your niche a little bit and who you are as a person, but I know that my strength is speaking, and so I capitalize on that. You know, I can flow and I can talk in events, and so that's a very good strategy for me. And I just am a big fan of long form content, and I really believe that bingers are buyers. And so whether it's podcast, YouTube, or live events or evergreen events, you know, I'm a really big fan on all of those approaches because it's long form content, and I've just had a good success rate with live events. I think there's a special energy that pre-recorded stuff doesn't have.
Absolutely. So I'm excited that you do them live. There's so many people doing the recording and they're boring as batshit. So good on you, girl. Awesome.
Yeah, I literally, before my events, I run around my house and like I get super energized because I know that, you know, you got to somehow get energy through on video. You know, we're all on the other side of the world from each other, or some of us anyways, and it's like, yet we can all feel each other's energy from interacting with each other. And I think that's the power of live. It's not that pre-recorded stuff can't do that. It's just a little bit different, obviously. And so I love to capitalize on that. So I get really pumped up. Like I run around my house, I get really excited. And then I just like, you know, it's kind of like Tony Robbins. I noticed, I don't know if anyone follows him. He's like said the same stuff for 40 years straight. I don't know how the man does it, but every time he's telling his story, he's saying it as if he's never said it before. And I'm like, I know how to say his story at this point. I don't know how he does that. And so I just try and remember that. And I'm like, how can I act like this is the first time I'm ever saying this? So yeah, that's my mindset there.
And again, it's electric, right? People love that. Like people love that you're interested in it. People love people who are obsessed. Another thing as well with a live events is there's a bit of room for error. Like you can do a live event and make a few mistakes and there's no real issue. Whereas that's the challenge sometimes with ads, with static ads. And it's the issue sometimes with organic. It's I'm sitting down, I'm trying to be perfect. It's inauthentic, which it literally is. And then people don't feel you. Whereas if you're sitting up and you're telling your story and you're going through your journey, this is why the podcast for me has always been really effective back in the day. Now we're doing webinars, now we're doing in-person events as well. It's like you can go the distance with someone and they can kind of see your imperfections a small bit, which is really helpful.
And I've actually had so many things go wrong in my events. Like, you know, the internet's cut out. I've been house sitting and a dog started barking or someone rang the doorbell. Like all this shit can go wrong. And you know what? This was many years ago, but you know, I've had people sign up to work with me because they said, I like how you handled that. If I was doing a live event and that happened to me, I would have freaked out and quit and gave up. But the way you handled that made me want to work with you. So I found sometimes the imperfections, like you just said, Darren, has actually played in my favor because they get to see how do you truly respond or react to inconveniences.
Thomas is saying he got it from some writer or something. It's like you want to be rough around the edges so that people can hold on to it. Right? The rough around the edges, people can hold on to it. So it's like share your imperfections. It's completely chill. The right people will be attracted, and you didn't want the wrong people anyway. Bianca, for yourself, any questions? I know you have your hand up. No, you're good. You're all good.
I think
no. I think it's up from last time. It doesn't come down. How do you take it down?
I think Darren has to do
it. You press it again, I think, or I'm not too sure.
Oh,
Let's discuss the sales side. So again, cold traffic, taking sales calls. One variable as well that Sofia left out is when she's run these events, so 13 of the same events plus 50 other ones, she ran the event and took the sales calls, right? Which is a whole different beast. Like I run my events, I don't take the calls. Like that is a crazy thing. So Sofia would prepare for it, adjust the slides, run the event, and then take 10, 20, 30, 40 calls afterwards. So do you want to run through your sales process in general and like some lessons you've had from that experience as well?
Yeah. So at the mid last year, I was telling myself, I've had a lot of beliefs that haven't served me, but I was telling myself I'm terrible at sales. I just thought I was really bad at sales because I didn't close everyone. And then I realized what like a healthy close rate actually is and realized I'm fine. But I, you know, got help from Darren. Like he looked at some of my stuff and coached me there, and have had help from other people as well, and realized I actually started to learn sales skills because I think I just sort of have winged it my whole time. And when I've just talked casually on calls and then, you know, people buy and then they say it's because of my energy. So I've tried to, you know, a lot of people say that they buy because of my energy. And so I've tried to like then not be this rigid salesperson and instead maintain that. But I think there's a nice balance of like, you can be yourself, be in your energy, and also, you know, hold people to a higher standard and question people and all of these things. So it's these tiny little sales skills I've learned that have really complemented me just having a normal back and forth conversation with someone on a call. I don't follow like a script or anything like that. But one thing that's really helped me that I learned last year was to dive really deep onto one particular pain point that someone presents on a call. So if they say they've got a lead generation problem, instead of just being like, cool, they've got this problem, move on, it's like now I dive way deeper of like and ask like maybe 3 to 5 different questions within that problem to like link the pain even further. Not to make them feel shit, but just to make them aware that, I'm not going to move forwards without fixing this, basically. And so that's been super helpful. I then also have a pretty strong belief that if your offer is good, it will do most of the selling for you. You know, like, funnily enough, that example I told you before of someone who joined my program a week ago and has already upgraded, you know, she signed up straight away on the call to the 3-month program as soon as I shared the offer, because she could already hear just from the inclusions that it was so much better than the last program she was in. And I'm not saying it's about giving more, but she could just hear, it's not a self-paced course. You actually get one-on-one support. There's these touch points and care factor, and you actually get to talk to me. You know, there's some programs where you will invest $40,000 and you don't even get to talk to the coach whose program you bought. And I just find that a bit wild, you know? So for me, it's like having that has helped with sales of like, you know, having a good offer, right? And Darren's so good at helping you guys create good offers. So that's been helpful with sales. The other thing is I was doing sales calls for just 30 minutes. They were 30-minute calls, which I didn't realize wasn't normal until Darren pointed that out. So now they're 45 minutes.
Yeah, and the logic is like, how quick can you get to the dance, right? It's like there has to be a small bit of kind of tit for tat before you kind of get into the meat of it. So you're probably getting to the meat at like 22, 24 minutes. If you got there at 35, you'd have more of like a build up. It's like, this is why like Dunkirk, the movie is like 3 hours long and it has one soundtrack, because the soundtrack picks up for the entire time. They build anticipation. So a lot of our calls are actually built off of anticipation. And that's why, you know, you can run calls for an hour and 15 minutes sometimes. Or if you're running cold traffic, you might need to run a call for an hour and a half, 45 minutes and 45 minutes afterwards. So it just depends on like one B2C, B2B, and then your opportunity type, and even with the script and stuff. Because I think now as you're moving into, you know, now with the team, right? You have a team. Like, how are you approaching? Because like where you're at now, the goal is to double the business, right? To go from like 150 to 300K this month. How do you think you're gonna, like, what's the strategy?
Yeah, so it was the end of last year where I was just doing so many calls, like, because we really cracked it on our event finally, and like we had increased the ad spend, and it was way too many calls. So I've hired a sales closer. So she's just started, you know, in the last 2 weeks, and lots of learning curves going on there. But she is actually good at closing. What I've realized is that I'm realizing the piece that I was doing on the call, which was my energy, that's now not on there. And so now it like the sales process really has to be on point because I'm not on the call. Not because no one can sell better than me, that's not true, but they're not me. And so when they're colder leads and they've never now spoken to me, I'm noticing that it's a little bit harder. So I'm really focused right now. I'm like, cool, if someone's booked a call prior to seeing my event, we need to nurture them. They need to consume some form of long form piece of content. If they've consumed my event, they're fine, because they're no longer cold anymore, right? Like, they're warm. But if they've booked a call before from the setters or the dialers or, you know, whatever strategy, then they're really, really cold. And I'm finding that that's difficult when it's not me on the call. It even is difficult with me on the call, to be honest. But it's definitely more difficult with a closer. So I'm focused on that right now. But in terms of like managing more calls, definitely hiring a closer is what needed to be done there.
Yeah, and it's step by step. If you think about, if you look at $1 million a month business, they just operate basically all off cold, because not everyone can be in the hot category. So you're going through that kind of maturity stage now. The next breakout is coming, but it's coming from a different style of business. The style of business has probably a bit more ad spend. It has setters and closers. They're pumping way more volume because it's not just you doing it or one setter. And then there's no restriction on the calls you can take anymore. Because that woman can take 50 calls in a week. You could hire another person with a right system and they could take 50 too. You know, like, this is the irony, is like, you have to go through this kind of break period. And again, if anyone is like, you know, they're not at that point, what is your point right now? Your point right now could be getting your offer out. It's like when that's out and it's motoring, you don't got to do it again, right?
Yeah,
So
I think I waited too long to get a closer. Like I probably didn't need to get to over 100K a month before I got a closer. Like, to be honest, I don't know how I, went that long, but it was definitely essential now. And so my goal is like get her going really, really well, tidy up whatever needs to be tidied up in the funnel so that they're at least a little bit warmer. And then from there, I'll start to dial back on the calls that I'm taking because I haven't gone full cold turkey yet. And then, because that can be risky otherwise. And then I'll eventually remove myself and get another closer as well, which is really cool. So I'm just doing that step by step. So that's definitely a new thing that I'm learning and have not yet mastered for sure.
I think there's a few things here as well that's going to give you some monumental jumps. One, it's the retargeting ads. One, it's running a fresh new idea and event. Three, it's the dials. So I love dialing. I think it's such a great medium because no one uses it. Like no one uses it, so it's an untapped resource. You're using the dials now, which is so much opportunity. And yeah, it's just ramping the call volume. Because I think one thing as well is when your guys are at the point where you're going to bring in a closer, there's part of you who doesn't book more calls because you're like, oh fuck, I can't take these calls today. I got to do delivery.
Yeah.
So there's this part of you that's kind of thinking like, I have so much delivery, I don't want to take calls. But that's actually the reason why you stay small in relative terms.
Yeah, 100%. So I think it did get to the point where I, was happy if a call cancelled and things like that. I'm like, oh, that's a problem, shouldn't be happy about that. And so that's when I really knew, okay, I do need to, this was the one hire I really put off because obviously the sales calls is exactly what brings in the revenue. And so it's very scary to palm that off to someone else. But I just don't want to have that belief that I'm the only person that can do it because that's not supportive. And so now I'm just leaning into that discomfort of like training someone up and also tweaking whatever needs to be tweaked now that it's not just me doing the calls.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Amazing. Love it. Jana, to yourself?
Yeah, Sofia, first of all, thank you. You have amazing energy. It's very obvious, and it's great that you already know your strength. So that's amazing. I just had a question for you, which is after you start with your first sales offer with the client, between you giving them all the details about the offer and then closing the deal, how long does that process usually take? And what are some of the challenges that you face that you can maybe share with us as insights?
Well, I've been doing my sales calls, up until very recently, within a 30-minute period. So I've somehow moved really fast through that. Obviously, some calls go over time when I had the time to go over. Some calls naturally went over to an hour for sure, and then I closed them. But I've also closed people in 20 minutes or 30 minutes as well. So I would say I was allowing about 10 minutes for pitching the offer and saying the investment and whatever conversation needs to be had from there. But I'm really excited now that I'm not the only one doing closing, that I've actually got more space to make them 45-minute calls and, slowing it down a little bit. Because whilst I had a relatively high close rate before, I'd be interested to see how much higher it can be if now that they're longer as well. I might have lost people that I probably didn't need to lose if I had spent, more time on them potentially. Because there's definitely been some people where I'm like, wow, I know I can help them. This is crazy. They're not joining. And that is frustrating. And if I had a bit more time, I didn't need to go on another call, I really feel like I could have done that. So, yeah.
So what we would traditionally do in that instance is like if someone is they're kind of caught in their brain and they're like, oh, I need to think about it and so on. I would give them the opportunity to think about it on the call. And I'm like, it's me and you. Like we got 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And then they would kind of digest and kind of internalize their issues and then start to kind of voice them then. And that's how the calls are 45 minutes to an hour. So I think you could even run a re-offer, Sofia, which is like, hey, do you want a 45-minute call with our team? Our team can basically discuss what we discussed in January or December in more detail. And they're like, okay, fine. And then we can kind of give them a personalized roadmap. And then, of course, then it's about how we can help them and so on. So, and you have to look at those as opportunities too, because you're off the call now, you can pass this responsibility to someone.
Yeah. And I also I learned this from you recently, how you just sometimes give people like really cool offers, you know, based on certain situations. And I'm like, oh, like I should leverage that. Like I should be doing that, because I've been very like, I've tried really hard to, you know, what I say to one person is what I say to everyone, and just be really like, you know, fair across the board. But now I'm realizing, hold on, like there are people that are like in their own way with some shitty, dumb, like objection, not moving forwards just because, you know, I'm not, you know, helping them as much as possible to be able to move forward. So even something I just did just yesterday is I put together an extra offer of like, cool, if I have had the call with them and I have followed up with them 5 times and they have not replied, I, you know, went and sent an email to all of these recent people that I had a call with, and I sent them this offer of like, you know, you've got 24 hours. If you join, you're going to get these 4 extra bonuses. And it was like an extra month in the program, a one-on-one call with me, 2 one-on-one calls with my support coach, and an extra ticket to my virtual weekend retreat. And I do them quarterly, and I'm doing it anyway. And, you know, I had someone, you know, reply today being like, that's amazing, I'm in, and she signed up after 5 emails of me following up with no response. So I'm like, shit, all right, I've got like so many things that I could leverage now that I'm getting more creative. So thanks for that one, Darren.
And it's just like, look at the levers that you can pull. So like a typical one for us is like, someone is on the fence or whatever, but they're coming to Bali, and it's like, let's do a 1-to-1 in my office. And it's like, we got a whiteboard, we got cameras, you got everything set up here. It's like, come to the office, come down, we'll go to the gym, we'll have lunch, and we'll do a 1-to-1. And it's just like, these are like, what's the word? Like, you have to like care, basically, you know? Sorry, Betty, I'm just gonna put you on mute for a second. So does that make sense? It's like, it has to be bespoke to the person's actual need, because some people are like, oh, I'm on my own, I'm in my own dungeon, I'm fine. Some other people need different help, but it's like, look at them in terms of speed, proximity, what can we offer basically to add more value? That's the long story short.
Exactly. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to leverage that now.
Awesome. Any more questions, guys? Just in general, like, feel free to come on mute. Obviously we have plenty of time, but if you want to come off mute.
Okay.
Betty, Mia, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to follow up on that. You know, you do these free calls and events and things like that. So how do you filter the audience to make sure that they can afford your offer? Because, you know, if you're doing it for free, then also the risk is anyone can join.
Yep. And that's, you know, that is the risk. I guess you don't really know until you're on the call. You can ask questions in the pre-qualification questions, which we do. But what I have learned from sales is that people lie. That is just really what I've learned. People just say shit all the time that they don't mean. Like, you know, someone will say, you know, that people just say all sorts of stuff. And so what I found is that sometimes people say they don't have the money to invest. I didn't look at the answers in time, took the call anyway, and then they buy. Like, you know, and I just find that shit so mind-blowing. And so what I've learned is that I just don't believe anything anyone says. I just, you know, if all of their answers are terrible, like they say they're not looking to invest anytime soon, they don't have the money, they put like little to no detail in the answers, I'll cancel that call just because it's all shit. But if like, you know, they say like, you know, they're looking for support now and they've added detail and then they've said they don't have the money, you know, if I was really tight in my calendar, sure, I might be picky and check on that. But what I found is that just means nothing because they don't even know what the investment is. And so they're saying that based on little to no information. And I'm not going to say the exact price on the call thing because it might scare some of the right people off as well because there's no context to that investment. So I've just found, yeah, of course, some people will get on and they don't have the money, but that's sales. You're not going to close everyone. So, yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome.
No worries.
Any more questions, guys? Anyone to share anything?
I don't answer anything. Yeah, I'm an open book, really.
Yeah, I think you did really cover everything. I think one big overarching theme, though, is your mindset around it. I know you do work on this a lot, but I feel like you have become a lot more resilient and a lot more mature with this approach as well. Like you're kind of rolling with a lot of the difficult times, which is good. Does that make sense? It's like, it doesn't really stop you. That's something just to
Yeah,
add to this.
it definitely used to. Like if I got even a bad gut feel after the event, I'm like, I just wrote off the whole thing emotionally and didn't show up the same. And then you see the other side of that and everything, which sucks. And then I've realized, okay, business is not emotional. Like, and I've been so wrong as well sometimes, like, catastrophizing, being like, it sucked, and then it ends up going really well. I think it happened enough times to me where I'm like, cool, I'm just not like, just don't even go there with the emotional side of things and just like stay the course. And I just know that it doesn't help me, and it doesn't help anyone if I'm not if I'm making decisions based on emotion, which is so much easier said than done. Maybe especially being female, I don't know, but I do feel like I've gotten better with it over time, and now I more make decisions based on the data. Like even right now, I would say I'm very uncomfortable with the season that I'm in, like hiring a closer, hiring dialers, doing dialing for the first time, spending more money on ads, all this stuff, all of it's uncomfortable. And I think in the past I used to make that super wrong. And now I'm just like, this means I'm literally about to blow up my business for the better, because like, how on earth do you double the size of your business while staying comfortable, So I think I just view it differently of like, I'm feeling terrible, with certain parts of it. Like it's very frustrating, like not closing as many people as I like, or having, non-qualified people come up to the call. But I just learned from it. It's like, cool, this is an SOP now the team needs, or we need to change this thing on the page. I need to refilm this video. And I think I just go more to a solution now than rather than just like make myself wrong for it, or make the team wrong for it, or someone else wrong for it. But yeah, it's just a journey, I guess.
Yeah, I love that, because I think, all like VSLs and thank you videos and, all the things that we're putting in a sales process and content, like you should be changing these things like super, super rapid. I think if people get caught in their ways and they're like, oh, I'm not prepared to do that, it's an issue. Now, my full observation is like, I often find that like for you especially, is like you've been so diligent to do things, right? I think this is what's really important as well, just for everyone to listen, is like to understand is like, if you're being assigned something to do something, just follow down the steps, because on the other end is kind of like almost like a proven process, right? So you have to do the shit as well. And I often find if you're leaving things out that that like you've been advised by myself or Tom or Tiernan or whatever, like that's where sometimes issues come up. Now you can't do everything at once. So the next stage, we discussed this, Mary, as well yesterday, was prioritization. So what's a priority right now, and what's a sequence? What are the sequence of events we need to do? So what are those specific sequences? So there's things like, just to understand, they're more mental models. Because if you're hearing this right now, you're like, oh my God, I got to do ads and events. Like, no. What do you need to do for your specific business, basically?
100%. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Any other questions, guys? I know we're running up on time. I don't want to... It's late for Sofia as well in Australia.
I'm all right. Whatever anyone's got, I'm good.
Betty, go ahead.
Hi, Sofia. You're an inspiration to women everywhere. Quick question there. What's your? I know this is for online, but I have done a lot of in-person events. So now I know that I'm just starting. I suppose setting up all the processes just feels like huge. So would you advise kind of just doing? What should I continue? I'm thinking of just continuing with my live events for the moment, just to kind of get myself into it and to build up my confidence. Have you done live events?
As in person live events?
Right. I meant in person. Yeah, in person. Yeah, going into rooms, going to places.
Yep, I have. I haven't done like heaps of them, but I did run an in-person retreat actually at my house last November it was just for 15 people. Majority of them were my clients. Some flew internationally for it, which was super, super cool. And then many flew interstate around Australia. So that was cool. It was with 15 people though, so it's quite manageable. Whereas like, for example, what Darren's doing in Bali is like a way bigger thing, venue, this and that. So I don't really have too much experience on that, but I've run a few in-person stuff. I don't gravitate towards them just because I've found it's a lot more work. It's a lot less profit. And so I'm like, well, like I had a good profit margin with what I did for my retreat because I did a lot of it myself. We cooked the food, we did all these things, right? So it was super simple. So the profit was there, but I looked back on it and I was like, wow, I could have signed one client into Scale School, you know, tier 2 and made all that money or whatever, you know. It was kind of one of those things, but I didn't do it for the money. And I think with in-person stuff, you probably shouldn't do it for the money. You should do it for the connection and the flow-on effects that comes as a result of that. You know, people that go to Darren's mastermind in Bali, they'll build deeper relationships with him. So the likelihood of them re-signing with him or upgrading with him or referring people to him or probably being a better client to him is all going to increase as a result of them going there. And that's why you should really do that stuff. It's for that and less about the money. So you can look at it as you definitely make money on the back end of it. But in terms of, you know, I have no doubt there's a lot of costs that go into whatever Darren's doing, right? Like hiring out things, and that stuff's not cheap, you know. So it's not my preferred way of going about it, but it's cool for other reasons.
You start small, right? So our first mastermind was in my kitchen, and that was in January last year, right? And it was like $2,000, and then it was like, yeah, it was super cheap for people to come, as in like for 3 days. It was a long event. But what I'm saying is we did that, and we hired food, we got fruit and all that kind of stuff. I thought for 2 days with slides, and then after that I was like, slides are terrible, I'm never doing slides again. And the next one was we rented a really good villa, did the same process, brought like 15, 20 people. Then we did 25 people my last one, and now we're going to do 40 at this one. And then we just spent like $100,000 on the Ritz-Carlton, right? So it's like you rented out the Ritz-Carlton, so it's pretty fucking intense. And what I'm trying to say is like it's a stepping stone the entire time. And then just in terms of like the value that it brings, Sofia said it perfectly. It's like kinetic energy, number one. So one, it just lifts the room and it's great to meet people. When you're working with someone for like 6 or 12 months and then you meet them in person, it's completely different. And it's like you put a face and a name and there's much more deeper trust, right? And then the next thing then is like where you're going to go from there with these people, you know. And that's the biggest thing that I focus on is where are you right now and where do you want to get to? I think that's the reason why we're running these sessions, right? Because like it can be very easy for me to get up here and be like, oh yeah, do this. Whereas when you see it and you experience it and you're like, okay, fuck, like this is actually possible, you know, because this is the stuff that I didn't have when I started. Sofia didn't have either. So there's these sub kind of benefits. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Sophia.
Okay. Appreciate it. So Betty's from the same area where I'm from in Cork, about 10 miles away. So that's it's a little story. All right. Okay. Big thank you guys to everyone. Sofia, you're an absolute legend. Huge value for everyone. If you get a chance, rewatch this. Also connect with Sofia too. So whether it's on Instagram, should I say as well, and just drop her a message too, because she's been super thoughtful with her time and also with just all of her insights and everything.
Thanks, guys.
Amazing. That was amazing. Well done. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye.